Welcome to Veterans Growing America podcast. I am Coach R.L. Simmons, and I am here with my illustrious co-host Donnell Johns. And you may think we don't have a special guest for you today, but let him know, Don. Let him know.
Hey, look, you guys are in for a special one. I always wanted to showcase this young man, this brother on the podcast. And so now I get the illustrious, I'm able to welcome my guest, Coach R.L. Simmons, to the Veterans Growing America podcast. I'm
I
so
love it.
glad to have you on here, my brother. How you doing?
I am doing amazing, man. I'm doing amazing. It's another wonderful Monday where we get to sit down and do a meeting of the minds and make it happen. So every day with you is special, brother.
I appreciate that. I feel the same way about you. And I want our guests to know about you. I not only get to sit on the show with you, but I also get to watch you in progress and at work. And I think that once everybody in the VGA community gets to understand the value that you could add to their lives, I think that they'll be tuning in on all of your channels.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So
So let's
tell the folks about me, huh?
yeah, so let's jump right in and tell everybody about your military experience and background.
Oh, amazing. So I am currently active duty Army, been in for 16 and a half years. And I think a lot of people don't know that because they look at my social media and they don't see all of the Army stuff. But I am currently assigned to the Pentagon. I'm working as a subject matter expert for a program. I work for the headquarters of the Department of the Army, and I get to do fun stuff with my HR friends, but I am a finance tech by background.
Nice. 16 years in the military, finance tech. So how did your military training and experience influence your journey into entrepreneurship?
Oh, this is a good one. I think to answer that question, I probably will have to go like probably for the last question, go a little bit deeper into who I am, right? So I'm a father of 8 children. Initially, my wife and we met in the military. At the time, she already had the two older boys, and at the time they were 2 and 3, and we were dual military. So the paycheck was pretty decent for only having 2 children and having two paychecks. A lot of that really helped us build like a financial foundation for our family. But we were younger, right? But
Mhm.
over time, we started to have a whole bunch of kids. Now we have 8 kids, 5 boys, 3 girls. All of them are amazing and they continue to drive us today. But the real motivation was as Khaleesi was transitioning out of the Army and then I was about to deploy, we thought the money would be fairly easy to make up the difference, being that now she's going to stay at home and operate. It didn't work that way. Eventually it turned out that we needed to grind a lot harder than we thought. So, and especially when you deploy, because the first time I deployed, and this is probably the super exciting part for me. The first time I deployed, I was single. I ain't had no kids. I saved every nickel because I lived in the barracks at the time. I was already into investing. And so the money was coming easy. So coming the second deployment now with the family, I'm thinking, hey, I can do the same thing. But so many things changed during our life during that period that we reasonably weren't able to keep up. And so we had to find a way to get back to the bag and break even. And so the first avenue we looked is, hey, what does this look like if I get out of the military and try to create something more for myself and my family? But I thoroughly enjoyed the military, and I still do to this day. And I thoroughly enjoyed the military. So the alternative was to start a business. Now, Calicia, my wife, and my co-founder of all of the businesses that I have, she and she's been a guest on here before and she's told her story, but she started off before she was in the military as an entrepreneur. And so really I want to give all of the credit and the things that you see today to her for kind of showing me the way. But yeah, the biggest influence of me getting into entrepreneurship and while serving is Calicia for sure.
I love that, man. That a family that prays together, stays together, and a family that starts a business together, that business gonna last a little bit longer. So
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit about, was this your first business or what inspired you to start business? Was business in your bloodline? Did your family have businesses? How did that go?
Oh, that's a good question. My first business I started, I, I was 19 years old. So at the time, I didn't know much about business outside of I'm a kid from Detroit, so all I know is how to hustle. That's where a lot of it for me comes from. But when I was able to get taught that pedigree of business, it changed the game. But my first business, I was 19 years old, H&R Block, fresh out of college, excuse me, fresh out of high school. So I was like 18 years and maybe 20 days old. And I said, I'm gonna go do taxes. H&R Block, they hired me. I did taxes for the first year. And then my mom, she said, hey, I have some friends who are looking for a tax professional and want to get their taxes done. And so I started with one or two people. They paid me 50, $100 to get their taxes done. And the money started coming fast as the word started spreading. Hey, he does taxes and he does a good job. And so I ended up opening up a business and I operated that business for about 2 or 3 years. That was my first taste of business. Now currently I have whew, currently I have two nonprofit organizations and then two businesses, and then I work with other entrepreneurs and I have ingrained myself into their businesses.
That's awesome, man. It blows my mind to understand where people's business acumen comes from. And yours came from H&R Block. So that kind of describes why you're in the money business as a whole. So can you
Yeah, that's initially why I started. Yeah.
can you describe to the audience what your business is and its unique value proposition?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I really want to share the two businesses. So one is the GOAT Legacy, and the other is the GOAT Business. The GOAT isn't necessarily what you think it is, the greatest of all time. It's greatness at outperforming, achieving, and thriving,
Mm,
right? And that's what we want other people to do for themselves. So through our business, through the GOAT Legacy, we do that through personal finances, and through the GOAT Business, we do that with small business. And so what we want to do is show people the path. Because again, telling my story of when I was 19 and the hustle was just a hustle, and I learned how to be a really a self employee is what I really was. And not having a formal education in business made me realize how many people are out here just hustling, right? My shirt say your hustle inspires everybody, but it's even more when you can make it a reasonable business. So what we do is we help small businesses really succeed in the things that they need, really, which is back office work, structure, and marketing. Those are really the biggest things that we see that companies really need. And with the GOAT Legacy, what we want to do is we initially started with A to Z businesses. That's a better story. But what we want to do is allow people to build their financial structure to where they're passing on a legacy. Because a
mm,
lot of times people in the financial industry, and that's one of the things that I learned, that it's a big money grab. Like everybody wants to put you in front of something and they're going to market whatever product that they have so you buy it. It's not about supporting your family, it's not about allowing your generations to live on way beyond you. And so we want to be able to structure people's finances this way. And I don't even really get into to the pick. So the unique proposition is, so when you deal with the financial advisor, that financial advisor is probably not going to talk to you unless you have $200,000, $250,000. If you don't have liquid assets that they can take and grow into money, they don't see any value in having you as a client. And what I want to do is be able to get educated as a financial advisor and then go down to the communities and allow everyday people who don't have 200 and $250,000 to know that they can get the same information. You can get the same information. We can do a financial audit. We can outline everything that you need to make it, and I ain't gonna say make it look like, but operate like you got $250,000. And eventually, if you keep that consistency, you will have $250,000, because all of the things that we're teaching you, they don't teach you in school. And I think even the small business and in personal finances, these are things that people just don't teach you in school. And then the things that they actually do teach you in school is you can't implement it because, oh man, you about to make me go down another rabbit hole. You can't implement it because the things they're teaching you are old, right? If you talk about being in school or school structure, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years for a curriculum to get passed. And then if we talk about college, now you got another 4 years before you graduated. So we're talking about as a senior, you learn something as a senior, you're working with 9-year-old information, right? So we want to give you real time knowledge, and you're not going to get that in school. You're not going to get that in school. You're not going to get how social media works. You're not going to understand how algorithms work and why it's important to post at a specific time. You're not going to learn that in nobody's class. You might learn it on TikTok or YouTube University, but you're not going to sit down in anybody's class and get that. And that's what we wanted to create for the people, man. For the people.
It's for the people.
For the people, man.
Since we're talking about people, can you give out 2 tips that people can use and implement today?
Ooh, yeah, absolutely. I would love that. All right. So the first tip that I want to give everybody is if you want to build a legacy, you need a life insurance policy. And I don't care if it's term or if it's permanent, because all of that really matters of who you are, right? It matters who you are, where you are in time of what type of insurance that you need. But I believe everybody needs life insurance. And I can run down 110 different reasons why, because people are gonna say, I don't have any kids. Who am I gonna pass the money to? Cool. You belong to an organization. You can pass that money to the organization. You can pass that money to Veterans Growing America and and change thousands of businesses, right? These are the things that people are doing in other communities that us in this middle and lower class don't have access to this information. But insurance is very vital, is very important to the next generation. And there are some insurance tools that you can use while you're living. Number two, let's talk about businesses. Woo! What is one tip that I want to give businesses? Oh, this one is easy. The one tip that I want to give people is you can't operate your business while you're in your business, right? Like business and a successful business should be scalable, right? If you get into business, you want that business to be scalable, meaning that in my head, I should be able to make this organization run for years and beyond the time that I'm gone. But if you the one printing t-shirts, soon as you get hurt or go to the hospital, the operation is done, right? And I say any capacity in business, make your business scalable. And the only way you can make your business scalable is not being so much in your business. The other piece to this is you got to focus on the fun stuff because that's what's going to make you succeed in business. And I don't say forget about the other stuff, but all of the other pieces that you don't like to do, you should be hiring people to do that. Why? Because you didn't start to make t-shirts to become an accountant. You you didn't start making t-shirts to become a janitor. You didn't get into your business. You got into your business for the fun stuff, whether it's to help people or whether it's to teach people how to grow the best plants. When you're operating your business and then you have to do multiple jobs, that's the difference between being a business owner and a self-employed person. And a self-employed person is a person that's doing 6 or 7, 8 jobs. Now, the one thing about your bottom line is this eventually will suffer if you don't start to pass these jobs down. Because at the end of the day, what happens is, and I'll tell you why people are so passionate about being self-employed is because they make all the money and they get to keep all the money. But the thing about it is you get to keep all the problems too, right? So book that I think anytime I run into an entrepreneur, I'll say, hey, 2 books you need to read. First one is Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time, and the other is Atomic Habits. When you mix them 2 books together, Atomic Habits, Buy Back Your Time, if you have these books, you will start to understand how these conglomerates work so magnificently because right, you have the business owner at the top actually organizing and operating the vision of the business because everybody has a vision of their business. And the only way to continue the vision of the business is allow yourself time to think. And if you don't, and if you can't think about where this business is going to be, how is this business going to scale? Right. So the
Mm,
only way to do that is remove yourself from being such a doer inside of your business. And I think that's probably the biggest tip I can give any entrepreneur is start to elevate your business by removing yourself as a doer.
man, I think you're watching right now. I'm gonna give you 13 seconds to grab a pen and write that down because that's hot. So tell me this. Is that something that did you learn by mistake or did you learn that by reading the book?
Biggest mistake I've ever made was not knowing that. I learned that when I initially got into beginning to operate the Go Legacy. It initially started off as Life Journey Solutions Financial. That was where I was doing insurance and estate planning. And I was booking all the calls, I was sending all the emails, I was doing all of the insurance policies. And I also still have 8 kids, and I also still serving as a master sergeant in the United States Army and have to wake up at 0 dark 30 to do PT. And so a lot of the people they say, "Hey, how do you do all of this?" Because I was waking up at 4 and going to sleep at 1 and burning out. And I was burning out. And I not afraid to share this, and I even shared on my social platforms, is I had to seek therapy because I was burning out so bad. And in the questions that my therapist was asking is, why are you doing so much? I really couldn't figure it out for myself why I was doing so much. It probably was the biggest challenge in my business was not succeeding because we were making money and we were getting things done and we were changing people's lives. I was tired and I wasn't having fun anymore. And when I started to search around and I read a lot of books. I think I was watching, I can't remember. I was watching something and the book was mentioned. I think it had been an interview or something. The book was mentioned. And I was like, I'll give it a try. What are we talking about? The first 3 chapters pretty much outline everything that I was doing. The first chapter talks about a guy who has a panic attack and he thinks that he is having a heart attack and he goes to the doctor and the doctor says, "Hey, you just have these high levels of anxiety." And then he finds out that he's just been overworking himself to death. And I was like, huh, it makes sense. That really got me to thinking, hey, is is delegating some of these roles something that I should do? And I to this day I found it to be the most peaceful thing because now people really ask, like, how are you doing so much? I'm not doing anything. I am just living out my dream. And as I said earlier, just ensuring that the vision that I have is being created. And there's no way I can have this vision and hands-on created by myself. Really shout out to you, Dom, for giving me a opportunity to do more stuff. But at the end of the day, you send me these videos. I'm not about to edit these videos. I don't have that type of energy. It goes to one of the people that I work with, and they make some money and we continue to elevate and help people out, and I don't have to stress about it. And I think it's so important for you to really just take a step back and really be the CEO of your business because the CEO don't do more than think, have the vision, and then they pass it on to the COO, the operating officer, and the operating officer makes the thing happen. If we could talk in military terms because we're talking to a military audience, be the commander of your organization because you're going to need to tell the first sergeant is going to tell the S3 is going to tell y'all what we need to operate. You want to be able to and you know me, Don. I told you if you get me on the box, I'm going to be on the box. And a lot of this comes from being in other organizations. So I am a master mason, and I am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. I am a member of Psi Delta Tau military fraternity, and I'm also a member of the military. And so I've seen I've seen all of these organizations operate very similarly. So I understand if this is 1,000-year-old organization and this is 100-year-old organization, and these things are working and they're succeeding, what is it that I should be doing? And I'm just a creature of a creature of habit, but the other one is just I'm observing. I see things, and if things are left and it works, why change the wheel?
No, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, so right now you said you're a business owner. You have two nonprofit, what was it? Two nonprofits you said?
Do nonprofit organizations.
Two nonprofits, eight kids, a wife, and a life. What are some of the challenges that you face in doing all of that together?
Biggest challenge I face is not having all of the time I want with my kids because it's so many of them. And so I learned that I'm at home every day and I'm with my kids and we sit down as a family and we eat dinner, which I think more families should do this day and age. But literally every day, in fact, I just got cussed out because I said, "Hey guys, I got to run, got to do this podcast." But we sit down as a family every day and we get to enjoy each other as a family. And the one thing that is the most challenging for me is to be an individual father to an individual child, to each individual child, because each individual child needs something different. And for me, it is carving out time in my calendar, but the challenge is I would just wish I had more. I will say, shameless plug, if you see this book right here, one of the things that I do with my little kids is I'm also an author, but I write books with them as the character, and I read those books to them because they enjoy the story so much. And how can you not really resonate with a story that's actually you?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so I try to find my way out of that challenge by doing creative things for my kids. And I'm hoping one day that they will see that daddy, not only did he work hard, but he did it for me.
I love that. I love that. So give us one lesson or piece of advice that you've learned from the military that you applied to your business.
I have a couple of them, but I'll give you one. The standard is the standard, right? If you set a standard for yourself or your business or the customer service in your business or for your finances, and that is the way you're going to operate it. So I've always I think it might have been one time I didn't get the MQ only because somebody was coming up for the board, and they even had the conversation in the counseling is like, hey, should be a MQ, but they get looked at this year. You don't get looked at next year. You'll be all right. Now, senior rater wrote a good block. You should be fine. I say that to say that I always operate at a standard beyond what is set. The military has always taught me that the standard is the standard, but there's so much more beyond the standard. When you look at if you look at PT scales, if you look at the minimum grade to pass a certification, when you look at what the standard is, you know that you're going to there's more because there's a scale. There's the standard, then there's a scale, right? And I always want to ride high on that scale and seeing that what 60% looks like on a 2 mile and seeing what 60% looks like for a push up. The military has taught me that exceeding the standard is is the way to go.
Mm, that kind of reminds me of just what's the mission, right? What is
Yeah,
the goal and the objective that we're trying to get there? And really just looking at that and going, okay, there's ways to get there that may be better than the way that we do it. And always looking at, okay, how do we get better? And that's what I heard you say is like always exceeding that standard.
always. I think that's probably probably another one too. ARs. ARs is one of the things that I do in any capacity because of the results, right? When you can go back and look at, you'll say AAR, so I know I might have some dependence. It's a after action review. And so what you'll do is you'll do we'll say a mission or a task. If for me it can be a task, an event, podcast. We'll go look back at the podcast. Hey, what worked? What didn't work? We evaluate those things. What could we have done better? What are some things that we shouldn't have done? And that is the best way to sharpen your sword. And a funny story, I was actually, because I get heavy into the social media, and I try not to, and again, that's the other thing. I try not to do all my social media myself. So I do all of the videos and stuff. It's me, it's not AI, it's me. The posting and the algorithms and all that other good stuff is source work. What I try to do is come up with those concepts, and probably 30 minutes before we got on here to have this conversation, I look back at a post that I did in like 2001, and then the goat was different and my delivery was different, and it just remind me how important it is to grow, and how important it is to do those after action reviews to say, hey, I could have said this a little bit better. I could have, I could have wore a different shirt. That logo doesn't look quite how I want it to look. And so doing these things and then and looking at what the brand is today, it made me smile to know that, hey, we grew. We grew, right? So that just means we're going in the right direction when you see things got are different, and we grew. And I would say outside of being an author and a podcast host and active duty military and a father and a husband, I think soldiering is probably top three of all of those things for sure.
Oh, I love that. I love that because from my seat, you're doing all of them well. You're not the best at everything, but you're the best at what you're doing right now. So keep it up. And I wanna ask you this. Is there anything that you haven't shared with the audience that you want to share right now?
Yeah, there's a lot. So I would say number one, I want to talk about Veterans Growing America, and then I want to talk about my first time visiting Veterans Growing America. I know my wife talked about her experience when she came on here. Donnell met my wife at another event. I think it was a military spouse event,
Mhm.
and she introduced me to what Veteran Growing America is, and I could not wrap my mind around what you were trying to do. And I said, wait, so he's taking veterans and putting them in the same place and then helping each of them scale their businesses at the same time. And I said, I gotta see this. This don't make no sense to me. I gotta see this. And we went to Veterans Connect for the first time. And we went to Veterans Connect, and I met Donnell, so welcoming. I felt like I think from the first time I met you, I felt like we knew each other already.
Yeah.
And even to this day, it's just like never. I be wanting to tell a time about 1926, but we ain't know each other that long. But that's just the kind of vibe we got. I tell you the story with me and him was running to the store to get Kool-Aid. We ain't got that story, but that's my brother. But walking into the building and then knowing who you are, and then meeting the people and checking out the atmosphere. I think a couple of days later, and you weren't there, I did return to the store just to browse around and do some shopping. And nothing changed in that culture from the first time where I met you. And that's why I know like you bled into that culture so much that, and I think I said this to you before, like this type of culture can't be replicated. This is the military edition of Disney. You're not gonna get this anywhere else. This is like the veterans of Chick-fil-A. It's like everybody who retired from Chick-fil-A go if you ever been in the military and worked at Chick-fil-A, come down to VGA. We got a spot for you. Like customer service is unmatched. And regardless if you need to go to the bathroom or you looking to buy coffee, like customer service is unmatched. And the way you built that culture is so impressive, on top of the fact that you're helping so many people. And it's not just monetarily, because one of the biggest things, and this is what drew me to Veterans Growing America, is because there is, because I'm in a military fraternity and I have a bunch of battle buddies who got out, and I hear the same story all the time, is you lose this level of camaraderie. You also, you struggle with mental health, and you lose a sense of connection, and you provide all of those things and an opportunity to grow your business. And that is just the biggest blessing anybody could have. And I am simply honored to be a part of the process. I did want to say that I think I went so deep into VGA, I forgot the question. Oh, is there anything else I want to tell the audience? Great, great. I want to tell the audience that I am truly blessed to work with Donnell, and I probably tell him this 2 to 3 times a week, and I might even just text him and just say, "Hey, bro, I love you, man." But that's probably the biggest thing, is I want to tell him how great of a person you are, and how big this is going to become, because you have the vision how big this is going to become. This is big. This is big, right? Have to speak it, got to manifest it. This is big. This is big. The opportunity that you have is going to surpass your wildest imaginations, simply because you're doing it from the heart.
Mm,
Truly believe that. Let's get into some financial knowledge, man.
yeah,
Yeah, this is what they brought me for. Let me move this mic up, make sure y'all hear me clearly. Okay, so there is many levels of financial literacy that I want to let everybody know, that no matter where you are on that playing field, financial literacy, that it's okay to learn more. So it's okay to learn more. So one of the things that is super taboo is to talk about your financial situation. And I want to be able to provide everyone a place where they can feel comfortable with having that discussion. And that is what the GOAT legacy is. What I also want is to share information with you, not just the me telling you what to do, but it's an exchange of information, because that's really the level where everybody feels comfortable, is, hey, I heard about this on TikTok, and then we can share information, right? Because it's not rare for me to get new information, do some research, and find a new way. Financial literacy and financial education, and the way you operate your finance, is a very old thing. Like, not much has changed, from the Bible to reading The Richest Man in Babylon, to reading, oh, I can't think of his name, the Italian man who came out with the Rule of 72 in 1597. I can't think of his name. It'll come back to me. But the Rule of 72, we still use it today. He wrote it in 1597, and then Einstein said, "This is the seventh wonder of the world." And then here today, we still use the Rule of 72. So not much has changed outside of the medium in which we use. And that's kind of like what we wrote in this book, to say, hey, we used to trade apples and cows and horses, but now we trade dollars and cents, and soon we'll trade crypto, digital currency. The medium may change, but the knowledge never does. And so, rule number one, if you're getting your money right, the first thing you need to do is get your mind right, because money is emotional. Money is money is a lot of things. Money is how people feel about themselves. Money is how people deal with pain. Money is how what people use to become happy. Money is emotional. So until you're able to get your mind and your emotions in check, it's going to be very hard for you to manage your money, no matter how much you make. If you are operating in emotion with money, you're going to have a very difficult time with it. That's number one. Get your mind right. Number two, always have an emergency fund. Always, always, always. Just because life happens and then Murphy's Law plus life. And if you got kids, you already know what that's like. Always have an emergency fund. If you are at a starting point, or if you're at a point where you are starting your journey, a good number is 500 to $1,000. That's just enough in case the washing machine break, the refrigerator go out, you get a flat tire, you won't have any setbacks if you have $1,000 because you just basically have to replenish it over time. The ideal amount is to be able to, and I'll give you some evidence just so everybody feels a little bit more comfortable with doing this. COVID, today's market. There's two reasons why, as you're building your emergency fund, you should have enough money to live for 6 months, at least 6 months, so we can get things figured out. And then the next one would be invest wisely. Invest wisely. A lot of times we invest in things because they make money, but if we don't have a why behind it, again, as we're investing, we get emotional into how we're investing, right? So if the market is falling, you feel like you're losing money. So then you take the money out. When a real investor knows the risk and knows the reward, they understand the market. In educating yourself, like it's a really big thing to get your emotions in check. But always save to invest. Excuse me. Yes, save to invest. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is being able to protect those things, right? To be able to protect your a legacy, but your assets, right? So this is goes into estate planning. This goes into life insurance. Life insurance. I think I've said that enough times to make people's heads roll, but very, very important. And I'm gonna share a small story why life insurance is important. It's a dear story to me. Still tugs on my heartstrings today because I've and I talked to some financial professionals about this last night. Just I felt like I could do more, but you can only do what you can do. It's up to people. Story time. I had it's my I'll just say a family member because I don't want to get too specific and everybody says I know who that is. Had a family member. The family member was married. They had kids at this time. I was really getting into insurance, and I sit down with family member, and the family member says, "I have insurance. I just want to hear what you got." And I said, "How much insurance do you have?" "I have 50,000 through my job." And I said, 50,000 is just not enough money to get you by, especially because you have a family that needs to be taken care of if something happens to you. And Donna, I can do a whole nother show about this, just this piece here. But I really tried to get them a policy because at the time, $50,000 is a lot of money because at the time he made about $50,000. And I was like, that's enough. That's not even enough to take care of your family for 1 year
Mm-hmm.
if something happened to you because we still got to pay the funeral costs and any debts. And after we done doing that, that's probably half of that. So now the family can only survive 3 4 months. And then again, going back to what I said, now they have $30,000 and they're emotionally spending because they just went through a giant grief.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say probably not even 30 days after that meeting, that family member passed away. And they had that $50,000. And then the same things that I'm saying happen now, the emotional spending. And it is still tough for me today because this is one of those things where you say, I told you, but you're not even saying it to anybody. But I want to say to everybody today, I don't want to be the one who can't say I told you. So get insurance and get enough because I've seen too many families suffer from not having it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to share this real quick with those that I just want to put an exclamation point on what you said. My mom worked for Safeway for almost 40 years. And if anybody knows anything about a Safeway salary, it's not a lot of money. But she had enough money to buy all of her grandkids gifts. She had enough money to leave us something when she passed on a Safeway salary. And if she could do that, oh, and by the way, on that same Safeway salary, she sent me and my sister to Catholic school, made sure that we had uniforms and everything that we needed growing up. We wasn't rich or anything like that by no seams, but she was able to do all of that. And then when she passed, she also was able to put herself up in a nice mausoleum and everything that goes along with that just by having a life insurance plan. And so don't think that you have to have a lot of money just to put a little bit of money away per month. And it's not too late to start.
It's not. It's not. I could literally do it. I could probably do a series of podcasts on a lot of these things and specifically insurance, but have enough. Have enough. I've seen Kevin Hart's story. I've seen Deion Sanders talk about it. Like these are big people who are having these conversations about it. So you're not too big or too small for it. Like Don said, really it's not as expensive as you think. That's one of the biggest myths.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what we'll call them disenfranchised people have suffered in the past, but there have been laws and regulations that have passed that no longer allows that type of discrimination. And so a lot of what I have seen is generational trauma
Mm-hmm.
and fear of these products. But I just want to say to the disenfranchised folks that today is better. And so get that safety net.
Absolutely. So it's come to the point of the point of our show where people need to know where to find you. And I want you guys to follow him on TikTok, on Instagram. Those are the two places that I follow you, and you give out nuggets. I have to every time I see it, I have to stop and just listen because you're giving out little bitty pieces of nuggets that if you execute those things, it'll change your life. So tell them how to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on all platforms at Coach R.L. Simmons. So you can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on IG, and yeah, I think those are my four main platforms. You can also follow me or subscribe to my newsletter by going to thegoatlegacy.com. Or if you're a small business owner, you can go to thegoatbusiness.com. And yeah, yeah, please follow me. Please jump on the newsletter and the same nuggets that I get, you probably get a little bit more if you do that.
And then he also has a couple programs that y'all need to be a part of. Tell them about those programs that you got.
Yes, yes. Oh man. So I also have a small business program, but I also have a personal finance and all of the things that we talked about, like in a macro perspective. I have a step by step, which is, I'm so glad you said it because I have the hardcover of the workbook here. It's called We Talked About a Personal Budget. Now let's take action. I also wrote a book for this, and I also have a military version of this. All of the classes I have, we can do them in person, which you get in me. Time is money. But I also have these classes as online courses as well. So you can follow along with the curriculum on the online course, and it's me teaching the course. Yeah, we have loads and loads of information, but this is to help you get from your finances from A to Z. And like my favorite part of the curriculum is, as you can see, is we don't get jump right into the money. We talk about your why, just because everything starts with your mind and your money, right? So our slogan is change your mind, change your money, change your life, and that is what we want you to do, and that's how we do it, right? By changing your mind so you can change your money and change your life.
If y'all could afford the latest pair of Jordans, you can afford to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No question. No question.
Coach R.L., I just want to say it's been a pleasure to have you on this side of the mic, to be able to share your gifts and your talents with the VGA community. And then for those of you that are watching, jump on board. Now's the time. Is execute now. That's the best way to execute. Follow him on all platforms, become a part of his community, and do those things that he says. at 19, I think, no, would you say 17? 17, he was working with H&R Block. Come on now.
Yeah. So I was 18. So 17 in a couple of days. I was certified at 18 and 20 days. Yeah. 18 years, 20 days old. I was started my journey as a financial professional.
I'm not going to tell y'all how old he is, but he's probably double that.
Yeah. 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 I'm getting there. I'm crawling there. It's a monumental year. I'll tell you that. It's a big year for me this year. I'll leave it at that.
Hey, that's
Um,
a beautiful thing.
yeah, Donnell, don't forget to tell them how they can continue to support VGA.
Oh man, I get to get on this side of the mic now. So Coach R.L., he told y'all about why to be involved. I'm gonna tell y'all how to get involved, right? Number one, go to our website and become a member of our organization, and you get access to guys like Coach R.L. Number two, if you're in the DMV area, I need you to, for your sake, to stop by our two stores. We have one store in Woodbridge, Virginia, and we have another store in Clarksburg, Maryland. Both go by the same name, Veterans Growing America. What you will find in those stores are veterans, military spouses, and dependents that have started their business and are looking for opportunities for you to be able to help them grow. We like to say in Veterans Growing America, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that includes you that's on the other end of this to support our community in a way that you've never supported us before. And so this is a great way to say thank you for your service. And thank you guys for tuning in to the Veterans Growing America podcast. And then thank you, Rob, for being on the podcast and being on the other side, answering questions on the mic.
Love it. And y'all don't forget the shop, baby.
Oh, yeah. And shop, baby.
We are over and out.